Welcome again to my Matric Maths Made Easy YouTube channel. I'm Tulani Macho, discussing episode 5, the real number system, but we're dealing with now the irrational numbers, represented by letter Q, capital letter Q with prime. They are non-fractions. These are non-fractions. This is part 3 of 4. So I want to discuss the part on the rational numbers where I talked about the proper fractions, and I said the denominator is greater than the numerator. For example, 4, 1 over 4, 2 over 4, 3 over 4, 4 over 5, 8 over 9, 81 over 100, 97 over 100. 1. So the proper fractions, proper rational numbers, are between 0 and 1. You will remember that denominator is greater than the numerator. But what happened in the part 2, I had a square root of negative 1, which I didn't discuss. And then because it doesn't exist. So square root of a negative 1, square root of negative 1. Square root of a negative number is non-real, or some call it unreal. Unreal. So it's not a real number. So we don't discuss it in this syllabus of matric maths. Only people who deal with this are the guys who do advanced maths here in matric, or the guys who will continue with it at university. Then they will deal with the non-real numbers. But for us in matric or lower grades, we do not deal with non-real numbers. All we do is just recognize that we are a non-real number, so get out of my way. I'm only interested in the real numbers. So the square root of a negative 1 does not exist, or for any negative number doesn't exist. So when you talk about the square root of numbers, when you talk about the rational numbers, we're actually talking about square root of positive rational numbers. When you talk about irrational numbers, talk about square root of positive rational numbers which are not perfect squares, or cube root of a rational number which is not a perfect cube. But I won't go to cubes, I'll just stick with the square root. So now, if again you consider the proper fractions in real numbers, so the ones that are between 0 and 1, the positive ones, because we're not dealing with these now. But remember, all these values are represented by x, element of real numbers. And then take the square root of 1 over 4, take the square root of 2 over 4, take the square root of 3 over 4, take the square root of 4 over 5, take the square root of 8 over 9, square root of 81 over 100, square root of 97 over 100. So now, without the square root, these are proper fractions. The fraction is where the denominator is greater than the numerator. But now that we have put a square root, we have to separate these two now. You'll get some will be rational numbers, others will be irrational numbers. So square root of 1 over 4 is actually 1 over 2. It's half. Square root of 2 over 4 is square root of 1 over 2. Or you can say 1 over square root of 2. The same thing. And then square root of 3 over 4 is the square root of 3 over 2. And square root of 4 over 5 is square root of 4 is 2, square root of over square root of 5. And then square root of 8 over 9 is square root of 4 times square root of 2 all over square root of 9, which is 3. This will be 2 square root of 2 over 3. And then square root of 81 is 9. Square root of 100 is 10. Square root of 97 is square root of 97. Square root of 100, the denominator is 10. So now, the proper fractions now, you've got the half. Which other one do you have? And then you've got the 9 over 10. So these two, yeah, are the only two proper fractions. So the proper fractions. So in as much as I discussed in episode 4 that the numerator, as long as the denominator is greater than the numerator, then you get proper fractions. But the fractions are the numbers that you can present as integer over integer, 1 over 2, or as integer over integer, 9 over 2. These ones, 1 over square root of 2, this is not an integer. Yeah? So 1 is an integer, but square root of 2 is an irrational number. Here, the square root of 3 in the numerator is not an integer, so over the integer. Here, 2 over square root of 5. 2 is an integer, fair enough, but square root of 2, square root of 5 is not an integer. Similarly here, square root of 4 will be 2 times square root of 2 over 3. Again here, because we're multiplying the rational number by an irrational number, you get an irrational number. So these are all out of order, so we call them out of order. Yeah? They are non-fractions, so they are irrational numbers. Similarly with the square root of 9 over 7, in as much as 10 is an integer, but the square root of 97 is not an integer, so this is a non-fraction. So not all real numbers between 0 and 1 are proper fractions. There are those which are not proper fractions. There are those which are irrational, yeah, irrational numbers. Okay, that's it. Okay, yeah, please, yeah, just like I'm doing a good job here. So just like my explanation, yeah? Like it's free, and then share it with whoever you may know that is having problem with the numbers. Because once you understand the real number system, this is the last number, by the way, this Q, yeah, this Q prime is the last number. There is no other numbers, that type of numbers that we'll talk about in maths, yeah. These are the ones in up to grade 12, yeah, in the high school. Otherwise, later on in university, in higher maths, or the guys who are doing advanced maths, then yeah, they deal with other numbers as well. But for us, we deal with only the real numbers. So we represent them in the number line, X. So when X, you say, is an element of real numbers, yeah, the real number system. But the real numbers are actually rational numbers and irrational numbers. Yeah, I'll remind you again, just like, yeah. And it's free of charge. You don't have to pay a cent, or even subscribe, and then you can get the future videos without even me downloading them for you. And then yeah, thank you, goodbye. Hope you enjoyed my lesson.